So hello and welcome to vetsdiary friends. Today is a big day for us as we have Dr. Aakansha Anand ma'am, all in the rank 205 in UPSC CSE 2022. I welcome you ma'am to my channel.
Thank you, Prashilsha.
I am very grateful to ma'am for accepting our invitation. And today we will be discussing on various aspects of UPSC preparation. And ma'am will be guiding us through experiences from her journey. So without giving it a delay, let's start this video. And now moving towards our first question, that is to ma'am. That ma'am, kindly please tell us something about your educational background.
I have been born and brought up in Patna itself. So my schooling was from St. Joseph's Convent High School, Patna, ICSE board. And I did my 12th I shifted to CBSE board because I had to appear for the NEET examination. And then I got enrolled in this veterinary course. I was studying in Bihar Veterinary College under Bihar Animal Sciences University. I passed out in 2020 and thereafter I started my preparation for the civil services.
So ma'am, it means that it was in 2020 that you started your preparation.
Yes, I started my proper preparation in full-fledged mode after graduating.
Okay.
That was September of 2020.
So ma'am, this was your second attempt, right?
Yes.
Okay. So ma'am, when it came to your mind first that okay, I should prepare for civil services instead of pursuing higher education in veterinary or taking a career option in veterinary?
I had thought about it in school. Like, even if I had have done MBBS, I would have written this examination because it was always up there subconsciously. But it was in the second year of college that I decided that I'll appear for the examination. That is when the conviction came to me that I'll appear for the exam after graduating.
So ma'am, that means you decided in second year itself that I'll prepare for UPSC.
Yes, I decided, but it was in the internship period. I explored all the options available: post graduation, going abroad, MBA, UPSC. So that period is a very jumbled up period for any person because that is the phase when you need to make that decision about what you're going to do after undergraduate college is over. So I juggled between a few things and tried to do a lot of things simultaneously. But then one day I sat myself down to make one firm decision because you cannot do everything at the same time. It's like rowing two boats at once and you won't be able to do it properly. So I came to the conclusion that I will go for civil services, and I felt that my personality was better suited in this area.
So ma'am, you did something in internship period only, like reading some books, or it was all started after completing BVSC in AH degree?
Yeah, I did read the basics during internship. I started with NCRT, some sample notes during the internship period.
When we do BVSC and AH and it is the degree is going to complete, the next option that comes to our mind is whether we have to do PG or not. So how did you come to this conclusion that okay, I'm not doing PG, I'll only do civil services preparation? Or what is your advice for those people who want to do PG along with civil services preparation?
I considered all the options. Even initially during the fourth or fifth year, I was sure that I will do civil services, but around the corner, when I was about to graduate, the uncertainty crept in whether this would be suitable for me or not, or I should also do a post graduation alongside my preparation. But the thing is that I was solely interested in the veterinary science part of our course. The animal husbandry portion did not attract me that much. And if and furthermore, the clinical portion. So if I ever had to pursue post graduation, it would be in the clinical sciences, the clinical departments. And if you enrolled in any of those courses for post graduation, you most probably won't have time for studying anything else apart from the course. With your postings and your duty hours, it gets tiring. So I made a personal decision because based on my assessment of myself, because I'm not physically very strong. So I figured that I'd get tired and I won't be able to study after that. You cannot study entirely two different disciplines when you're so tired. So I sat in the PG examination just for the sake of it. I had filled the form, but I had stopped studying for PG. I just sat in the examination. I could have gotten PG in surgery in my home state, but I made a decision and I did not go for the counseling. So I did not regret that because I had decided. So, see, a lot of people will like to have a safe option in hand when they jump into the preparation, and that is not wrong at all because the exam is uncertain. So, if you've taken animal science, probably you can prepare. A lot of people in IVRI, they prepared. Some of my teachers, professors in college also advised me to do the same, but I was not at all interested in animal science. So skip I skipped that option. So if you are in those disciplines, maybe you can allocate time alongside your post-graduation course for preparing for UPSC. What I thought at that time was that I will devote at least 2 years entirely to the preparation wholeheartedly so that I don't have anything to regret later. And if I'm not able to make it in 2 or 3 attempts, then I'll think about some other avenues or a plan B because that is the practical or rational thing to do. Because if you have studied for 2, 3 years continuously, you have built a strong enough foundation. So you can sustain your preparation alongside with a job or a degree after that. So first 2 years, I wanted to give time to myself because if I would have decided this later, it would have been too late because our course is already 5.5 years long. It is different from a simple honors B honors course or even an engineering course. And many people in our colleges have taken drop years as well. So you're already a few years ahead of those aspirants. So you have limited time on your hands as well. So that was the right decision according to me at that time.
Okay. And that decision has definitely brought you results also. And it depends on person to person that whether they want to choose doing PG together
It
with
is a
civil service.
personal call. You need to take this decision based on a lot of parameters. You need to consider your family's financial stability, your backup when you're studying. So this is a personal call. You cannot follow any one person's footsteps. This is a personal decision entirely based upon you. Some people even go for clinical practices. You can do that as well if you do not want to go into academics.
So, ma'am, did you also try for state civil services examination along with the UPSC?
But till now, I haven't. No.
Okay.
I would have appeared for this attempt if would not have cleared this civil services examination, the second attempt. I would have appeared for the state services, but till now I did not try for state services.
Awaited questions of all the candidates, all the veterinary candidates who are going to appear for UPSC. That in spite of being a veterinary graduate, you did not choose veterinary as your optional. So, what was the reason? And kindly give us a detailed view that why did you choose geography instead of BVSC and AH or other subjects like anthropology, which often the medicos choose.
This was also a very personal decision. Animal husbandry and veterinary science, it's a very good subject. You won't have to face scaling issues when you take this subject. And you'll already have studied it for 5 years, so you'll feel comfortable over there. But there are very few candidates writing with this optional. So there's paucity of notes and guidance in the market. You won't get ready-made notes or material, online guidance regarding this subject. It is very difficult to find concise notes. So you'll have to do all the hard work yourself. Although I think 11 subjects are asked in the optional. We have a total of 18 subjects, and 11 of those are asked in the UPSC examination. So you'll have to study all of it and make notes about them, analyze all the previous papers all by yourself. So it is a task. If you're able to do it, well and good. People, veterinarians who qualified this examination earlier have taken veterinary and have qualified. So you can do that. But there are some constraints, like not enough people write this optional, so you cannot analyze the trend of marks, and you do not have sufficient guidance because people are not writing with this optional continuously every year. Even this year, two of us who have qualified, we had different options. We did not have veterinary. So nobody in this year's list had veterinary as an option. So you won't be able to find the right guidance. You won't be able to know how this option has performed this year. So that is the constraint. And because you don't have coaching institutes and material available for it, you don't even have tests. You would not be able to assess yourself. For general subjects like geography, history, anthro, socio, there are teachers, so there are test series, test papers available. So you can write answers, get them evaluated, get some guidance in those subjects. Here you are totally charting unknown waters because you have studied, you have prepared, but you do not know what to expect. And another reason of mine was that our subject comprises two parts, right? Veterinary science and animal husbandry. So, like I said, I was not very interested in the animal husbandry portion, and UPSC tends to ask a lot of questions from that portion because it is related to the economic sphere. So, I just chose, anthropology would have been a very good optional for a person from a biology background. But I was like personally biased towards geography at that point of time when I made this decision. Someone from my family earlier had cleared with geography, and I had some people around me who were preparing with geography. So I thought that I would get help. But I'll advise all the aspirants, whoever is deciding to prepare, to not choose your optional based on these parameters. It should totally rely on your ability to navigate through the subject, your interest in it, and whether you're comfortable with it. Although I did score decently in geography, but I was very scared. I was very scared about this attempt. So geography and subjects of these likes, they are a bit risky because a lot of people opt for it. A lot of scaling happens, and the marking pattern is unpredictable. So you can't guess how much exactly around what range you would be scoring. So choosing an optional is a very crucial decision in the preparation. It comprises 500 marks. So take this decision wisely. I'll advise that if not veterinary, go for anthro. Anthro really is a good subject. It has a lot of overlap with biology. You will understand the concepts. And the syllabus is also short. Geography is huge. I did not realize it when I was opting for it. It is huge. And it is scoring well at these years also. So you'll be in a better place if you are choosing anthro around these years. These few years, anthro has been showing a good performance consistently.
So, ma'am, when did you decide that I'll choose geography as my optional?
Final year.
In final year only.
Sure that I'm not taking geography, but I was confused between anthro and geography. I was just I told you biased towards geography because I had developed interest in the subject in school times. So I thought I'll be comfortable with it.
As we have studied veterinary science for 5.5 years, so how veterinary science knowledge helped you in this preparation?
The veterinary science curriculum somewhere helped me in the science and technology related section where biology was involved. When you asked about zoonotic diseases, vaccine developments, world health issues, One Health, these are some of the areas where it came into play. Otherwise, its role is limited. If you do not have optional, veterinary as your optional, then it is.
When you decided that, okay, I am going to do civil services, so what was the first step you took for this preparation? Whether it was reading the syllabus, buying NCRTs, or buying standard works. So what was your first step?
I read the syllabus. I went through the syllabus, the entire prelims, the main syllabus, the list of optionals available to opt for, and then I shortlisted few optionals that I was interested in, saw their book lists, then decided what option to take, and then I looked up the books that were required for starting the preparation. So yeah, I bought NCRTs and the basic books after going through the syllabus. And after that, I went through the previous year questions. I bought a book of 25 years worth of question papers, looked up some questions which ranging a few years back, and to start getting comfortable with the syllabus, to get a knack of what is asked in the examination.
So, ma'am, did you join any coaching for this exam, or it was your self-study which helped you sail through this exam?
See, I did not join any formal coaching institution in Delhi for this examination. I attended a few classes when I was here in Patna uh, while I was doing college. So I attended some weekend classes, but I did not find them very useful. After that, I relied a lot on the online sources available, and it would not be right to completely disregard the role of coaching institutions and the role they play in our preparation, because they provide you a lot of material. Even though I did not attend the classes, I used their current affairs, test series, and all the enriching material they posted, content posted on YouTube, various channels, Byju's, Sleepy Classes, Only IAS. A lot of these channels, some of them are completely online, and some of them are present physically as well as virtually. So I did whatever I could to help my preparation. I stayed at home, but I used all of anything I could find online which would be beneficial to me. And I also used an academy. I shared a subscription with a friend, and a few of the educators on that platform are really good. And like for economy, I completely relied on Renal sir. Initially, I was referring some books and other notes, but once I discovered Renal sir, I did not touch anything else for economy. I felt like that was a complete package. So yes, I did use some online material, whatever I could find on the internet for my preparation, and sources like an academy. So coaching is not, I would say coaching is not imperative for clearing this examination. It does help you. You cannot negate the role of teachers and mentors in this examination. Obviously, self-study comprises 80% of the efforts, but you do tend to need help because you cannot do everything by yourself. So an aspirant needs to learn how to filter out what is beneficial for you and what is just extra knowledge, which is irrelevant.
So, ma'am, as you said that you have been preparing while being at home. So, ma'am, when we are at home, then there are many other circumstances also. So, how did you cope up with them, and how did you knew that yes, I am going in the right direction? I am not studying anything other than what is required for this exam, and I am studying according to the need of this exam. So, how were you clear about it? That okay, and how did you cope up with the fear of FOMO type thing that okay, I am not studying in Delhi, I am studying at home? Shed some light on this topic.
Firstly, I was not facing any FOMO that I'm not preparing in Delhi, because a person needs to know herself and himself properly. So I know myself. I knew that I would not be comfortable in that crowded situation which is present in Noor and Mukherjee Nagar. That has never been my pattern of study. Even while in college, I never indulged in group preparation and the sort, because I was a day scholar. I study by myself, and that is how I do things. So I do not need a group and 10 people around. It I would have been frustrated with it. So being at home, yeah, you need a particular environment if you're preparing at home. So I'm grateful for my parents that I got that environment. I was not disturbed. My comfort, my needs were catered to, everything was taken care of. I did not have to worry about a cook or a sweeper who would come to my house and get things done. So there's a lot of comfort at home, and you have your people around and supportive people, people who are not badgering you constantly or demanding results from you, just investing in you, hoping that you do well in life. So that was the situation. Whenever I felt low, I could talk to my parents, share with them. I had my sister also who would entertain me at times, and I felt good about it. In Mukherjee Nagar one, a lot of people, produce results from those areas, but I was not the person who would have been comfortable over there. So I decided to stay at home and prepare. And because all most of the resources today are available online, so it's not a necessity to go to Delhi and prepare. I even wrote my prelims and mains from Patna itself. I did not go to Delhi even for mains. You can prepare from anywhere these days. A lot of people this year who are in the list, they are prepared from the villages. Thanks to our Prime Minister, thanks to Digital India, that connectivity is so easy and cheap, affordable. Everything has become so affordable that we can prepare sitting anywhere. So that's true that you have a lot of circumstances at home. Even I had situations at home, but I was completely isolated from all of it. You need to understand one thing, that while you're preparing for UPSC, you have to sacrifice a lot of things, and you also have to be a little selfish for the sake of the result. Because there'll be a lot of things going around in your vicinity, in your home, in your friend circle. You have to ignore certain things. And you need those kind of people around you, be it your parents or your friends, who understand the predicament that you are in and do not bother you those things.
Many candidates are selected while being at home only. So this shows that going Delhi is not necessary now, and spending huge of money, lakhs of money is not necessary now, as everything is available to us online and we can easily prepare while being in the comforts of our home.
Yeah, very true. If you have the environment, there can be nothing better than that.
So ma'am, as you said that online resources played a very important role in your preparation. So while we are using online resources, so there are also some distractions. So how did you manage them? And sometimes something feel very important to us, like, okay, these messages are very important, so we have to keep this app with us. So how did you manage that?
While preparing, I had WhatsApp because that is important for being connected with people for information. Also, I know people who use that feature phone and not even WhatsApp during preparing. So I've seen people like that also, like ultimate dedication. But I did have WhatsApp. It was important for communicating, being in touch with a few people that I wanted to be connected with. But my other social media accounts were deactivated because, yes, they are distracting. And more importantly, while you're preparing, until you are in the final holy PDF, you are just stagnant. You are moving nowhere in life. Other people, they are getting their promotions, getting work, and in our age, even getting married and moving on in life. But you feel stagnated until you have the result. You are nowhere, even if you have reached the interview stage. So I felt it was better to maintain some distance from social media. You should be connected with few of your friends through calls, WhatsApp, or text messages. That should suffice. But if you are someone who gets swayed and diverted, if you are someone who keeps scrolling reels, then please take that decision. Uninstall the app, deactivate the app while you're preparing. And even while studying. So if you're referring YouTube, you're watching a lot of educational videos, and in the middle, you're watching some random videos. You do not realize, but 1 hour of your time is gone. So one needs to have control over themselves. You need to remind yourself what is important, how important your time is. So avoid doing that.
And that is, ma'am, self-control is the most important thing. So ma'am, as you said that online resources and offline resources, both you took help. So ma'am, now please kindly tell us that what were your resources that you used for this examination?
First of all, I use the basic books, NCRTs of all the subjects, class 11th and 12th. Then for standard books, Spectrum for Modern History, for Ancient and Medieval, the class 11th and 12th NCRTs, and Tamil Nadu Board NCRT. And then for Economy, class 11th NCRT and class 12 Macroeconomics NCRT. And then Runal Sir's videos and notes. For Geography, class 11th and 12th NCRTs, both of them. And GC Leong. And just Sudarshan Kochar sir on an academy, his videos and some of his notes. I learned the entire mapping thing from him. He teaches it in a very amazing manner. Then comes environment. So for environment also, I followed Sudarshan Kochar sir and read Shankar IAS book. You can also refer to PMF IAS. I think they have a good material, because there's no particular NCRT or a textbook, standard textbook for environment. Shankar IAS book is a good source. Then what else is there? Polity. Yeah. Polity, you can read the plus 2 NCRT for a base. And then Lakshmikant is a one-stop solution. I only read Lakshmikant for polity and nothing else. Is there any other subject left?
Yeah.
Science and technology and stuff. History, modern history, geography, environment. I think I've covered the basic static subjects. Science and technology, there are some topics like cellular biology, missiles, nanotechnology, which you should be aware of. Should know the basics of those subjects. So the 12th standard biology NCRT. Read the few chapters of cell. Is it in the 12th
Yes,
standard or the 11th standard?
In both we get some or the other.
So read those few chapters. Read the cell chapter, and in the 12th NCRT, the biotechnology portion. So for biology, at least do that for the basics. The bio background people already know all of it. For the non-bio people, you should read it for a base. You do not need to read the entire biology NCRT, it's just the few selected chapters. And then most of the science and technology is covered from the current affairs. Just do the basics about virtual reality, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and the rest is current affairs. And for current affairs, I followed one current affairs magazine. You can pick any which you're comfortable with. A lot of most of the coaching institutes, they issue a monthly compilation. I used Insights and Vision during my preparation, and one newspaper which you should read daily. Be it the Hindu, the Indian Express, or any other. Mostly these two papers are recommended. Pick it up and try to read it for a few days, see which one you're comfortable with, and then decide which one to read continuously. So read one newspaper daily. And if you do not understand some of the things, you should follow one newspaper analysis on YouTube. Anyone. There are a lot available. You cannot do all the current affairs because this is a very vast arena, and this does not give the returns in respect to the time invested in it. So be wise about it. Just follow one source regularly. I used to watch the Byju's comprehensive news analysis every day. They analyze the Hindu on a daily basis, and their explanation is very comprehensive, very top class. The faculty is really good. So you can refer to that. And for online sources, for the newspaper, I use Byju's, and anything that I liked online, once you start preparing and watching these videos, you'll get recommendations on YouTube regarding a lot of current affairs and many of these things. So you have to be selective about it. You cannot watch everything and study everything. So few of the channels that I personally liked and referred to were Sleepy Classes, Only IAS, and Brunal Sir's channel. Then this Byju's at times. Byju's has a separate weekly analysis for economy, international relations. So you can watch that for a good overall combined consolidated perspective on a weekly basis. Then a few unacademy educators who teach on YouTube. Even if you do not understand any topic in the textbook, just search it on YouTube. You will get so many videos related to it. So many. These were the channels I usually
Okay, and ma'am, for main subjects like world history, post-independence, and sociology, so from where did you cover them?
World history is a topic which is not there in your prelim. So what happens in mains is that the ancient and medieval is eliminated and world history is included. But art and culture you have to study in prelims as well as in mains. So for world history, I did not follow any book. I just read Oja sir's notes. Now Oja sir's notes are designed for optional people. So I read them selectively because for GS, one does not need to remember all the names, all the wars, and all the places. You need to know the concepts, like the key terms which are mentioned in the syllabus: colonialism, Nazism, about the Second World War. So the causes, consequences, the aftermath. You need to know the theme and the concepts around it. So that is what I did. Uh, People can also pick up any coaching's material. I think there's a book by an author. I do not remember the name because I did not study any book, because questions from that topic are not asked on a regular basis. So investing a lot of time on it did not seem feasible because it was my first mains. I had my optional to do, which is huge. So I did not read any book. So the pattern for world history has been that in the last 3 years, there was not a single question from world history. In 2018 or 2019, there were 2 questions. So you should not leave the topic completely because you do not know UPSC. There's no particular pattern they follow for setting a paper. It can happen that in a particular year, there can be 3 questions from world history. So you're going to lose marks. So do not completely leave that area unprepared, but do it in a wise manner, which gets you the maximum yield. So you can follow any coaching's material on world history. Vision, Vajiram, they all have the yellow books or some booklets for these small topics. Just choose any one of them and read selectively. Read the parts that are important. That should be enough for world history. And for things like society, same. For these adjunct topics, society, social justice, pick up any good coaching institute's material on it and give it a read once or twice. You'll understand. Most of these topics like social justice, society, social issues, disaster management, these can be covered from current affairs newspaper also. So any one coaching material and current affairs should suffice for these subjects. And previous year questions, just go through the questions, you'll realize what kind of questions are asked.
So ma'am, did you make any notes of current affairs or any notes of the books you read, or you just prefer underlining in books only or the notes only?
So I engaged in a very stupid exercise in the beginning of my preparation. When I started reading newspapers, I made notes of them alongside. Like I initially in the beginning, I took 3 hours to read one newspaper and then make notes out of it. And the notes were 8 pages long. Then they shot into 5 pages, then 2 pages. And then it was then that I realized that this is a very futile exercise. Because in the end, I filled 3 registers, 3 spiral bound thick notebooks with those newspaper notes, and I was not even able to flip them through when I wrote my first attempt. So do not do that. That was a waste of time. I realized it later. Like every aspirant needs time to understand what works for them in this preparation and what is not. There are still people out there who make notes of newspapers, but I think it is a waste of time because you have monthly magazines at the end of the month that every coaching institution issues, and they'll probably be doing a better job than you. because there are a lot of people involved in it, and they craft it in a very lucid manner for you to study, in a very organized manner, which you won't be able to do for yourself. You will just be, piling up A4 sheets, attaching information, and it is going to be a mess. You should not give up on reading newspapers. Do read the newspapers to develop that perspective. Do read the editorials so that you understand how to write your answers, how to frame them, how to generate or develop your own opinion, and also to understand what opinion is extreme and what is a balanced opinion. Read newspapers, but making notes out of them, it does not yield results. So don't do that. Rely on other current affairs magazines. Let the coaching institutions do their job now, because they are making your job easier. Why do you want to make it tougher for yourself? As far as the standard books go, I did not make notes out of them either. It is my personal style of studying that I do not make a lot of notes. I find them tiring. You can call me lazy also, but I do not make notes. I underline the book, highlight it. I read the book multiple times. So all my books are very dirty, in a very shabby condition, but that is what they were for. So I think I utilize them. And even during college, not just in the UPSC preparation, I used to read the books for VPH, that ICR book. They are all torn in that condition because I've read them so many times. So I think I am able to revise better in a book. If there's any additional information, I write it in the margins, in any empty space that's present there, or write it on a sticky note and stick it on that page. And that works better for me because I find all the information consolidated. If there's something I don't remember, I do not have to go and open another notebook to find where I've written this. There are some people who consolidate entire Lakshmikant in a few 15 to 20 pages. There are people who do that. That is a different art that I do not know, because I read the book from cover to cover and select what I have to study. So I know I have underlined it. I know what to study from where. So that is a personal pattern. There are people who cannot revise without notes. So this is totally upon your discretion, upon a person's studying style.
So means, ma'am, when you found anything important, then you simply just added it in your notes in that notebook only. Means the basic book.
Yeah.
Okay. And if, ma'am, anything we found important in newspaper, suppose we are reading any editorial and we found that, okay, this line is important and this can be written in mains. So
yeah, I used to then jot them down in a notebook. If you found any, especially the conclusions of the editorials, they are written very nicely, and you can use them in your answers. Introductions or conclusions, very nicely written. So if I liked something very much, I used to jot it down.
Did you write them in a separate notebook, or it was in that notebook only, means the main basic source which you revise later?
A separate notebook for newspaper materials and others, a separate notebook.
Okay. So ma'am, did you write like this, that okay, this is for GS1, this is for GS2, this is for GS3, or
yes,
topic wise?
If you are making notes, the practical approach should be that you should at least just in a bracket denote where you can use the quote or where you can use the information. You already know what subjects are asked in which GS paper. So, just write it down. The GS3, this example of a good administrative practice, it can be used in GS4. That will make your job easier while revising for your mains. When you have to write 4 or 5 papers continuously, it will make your job easier to revise them. It is a very personal art. It's very personal. Like people say that you just cannot borrow notes or download notes from someone on Telegram and read them and you'll be done. You won't be satisfied. Read them and you'll be done. You won't be satisfied with it. So notes should be personal. If you are comfortable with somebody else's notes, well and good. If you are making notes, then it should make your job easier. Do not write another book out of a book. Care should be taken about that.
So ma'am, as we all know that prelims is the most important part of this exam, and the prelims is getting harder year after year. So what was your strategy for prelims?
It's important, but I believe that prelims is the most dicey stage of the examination. Prelims is a rejection phase, and UPSC is constantly changing the pattern of questions that are asked in the prelims. Every year there are few bouncer questions. The previous year they started including those one statement correct, two pair statements. This year they have statement questions. The year 2021 they had asked 3 questions from sports, and everybody was awestruck. When I read those questions, I flipped the question paper to the cover page to like confirm whether I was sitting for the right examination. So if you're preparing for UPSC, you have to be prepared for surprises. Because this is not like the NEET or JEE examination where your syllabus is fixed and you can score 715 out of 720 marks. The cutoff in the succeeding years has been decreasing because the paper has been becoming increasingly tough and unpredictable. This year, everybody agrees that the paper was quite tough, quite a chance or a luck-based paper because a lot of the questions were based on conjecture. Yes, it could be solved a part of the question could be solved logically, and that is why 15,000 people have cleared it as well. And 1,000 out of them will be in the final list. So an aspirant needs to evolve according to the demands of the paper. You need to understand each question thoroughly and make those logical eliminations. There is still scope for logical elimination, if not elimination, then logical derivation in the paper. If someone who has been preparing for at least 2 years, if you go to the paper, you will understand that some questions, even though tough, they were doable. The cutoff could be low, but there'll be a certain bar which a group of people, those 15,000 candidates, will be above and qualify the prelims paper. Even the last year paper, there are people who have scored 136, 120 marks in previous year prelims paper. So it is difficult, but it can be done. It can be done. You need to be very smart with the paper now. You need to very smartly identify the questions which can be done with accuracy. That is most important.
So
and for the questions like this year, there were questions like the Official Secrets Act or the Arms Act. So those are questions which will be difficult for everyone. So if you're trying your luck there, it could be correct, it could be wrong, but do not stress about those questions because apart from people who are from the law background, nobody else would be knowing it for certain. So do not stress yourself out for those questions. Sara kuch duniya mein you cannot study. And you won't know 100 questions in the paper. You just have to clear the cutoff. And for CSAT is becoming exceedingly difficult. The level is matching the CAT and JEE questions, and I myself don't know what to do about it because I'm not great at maths either. So I'll advise that if you're not good at maths, do take some help. Do go for classes or any coaching you can refer to because you should not waste one attempt based on just chance की ठीक है देखते हैं हो जाना चाहिए इतना तो किया है इसके इंग्लिश वाइज पे निकाल देंगे because you do not know the difficulty level for next year if it was this difficult this year, and it is only becoming since 2019 it is only becoming tougher and tougher every succeeding year. So I'd say that because I myself do not feel very confident with maths, and you cannot clear the paper only based on English. And if somebody who is not that strong in English as well, then you need to have a very strong grip on those maths questions because this year, even though the people from engineering background, from IITs, they were taking 3 minutes to solve the questions. And they're only 2 hours. So only getting the answer does not matter. Getting the answer in that short amount of time, that speed is very important. So you'll get that only with practice. And things like permutation, combination, probability, these topics, we have not been taught these until 10th standard, and these questions are being asked. So you need to study those questions. You cannot leave them in the examination. they will cost you.
So ma'am, when you prepare for prelims, so how did you manage then?
See, in the first attempt, I gave just around 1.5 months to CSAT, and I cleared with a very slight margin of 5 marks. So nobody should be hovering in that position. You should be confident enough to clear it. In the next year, so I took a proper course on an academy for CSAT because I did not want to leave any stone unturned. I did not want to take the chance because I understood that the paper is getting difficult and it could be more difficult the next year. And those 5 marks, it was not a great margin by which I had cleared. So I took a course, and the next year the maths became even more difficult, but the English was comparatively easier. The options were less confusing than the previous year. So I cleared CSAT. This year's paper was very difficult. I've read the questions, but I have not tried solving it because I'm scared of it. So I managed last year. I had studied all the reasoning and the maths I had practiced. So I cleared CSAT. But this year, even I'm not confident that I would, sitting in an examination hall, if I'd have to appear for that examination, I would not be so confident of clearing it. And for the GS, you should devote at least in the first year preparation, the 5 months preceding the prelims, you should devote entirely to prelims. This was the mistake I made in my first attempt, that because the exam was postponed due to COVID, the second wave of COVID. So the extra few months that I got in between, I used it for mains preparation for my optional and other topics. And I thought that the last 2 months I'll study specifically for prelims and that should be enough, but it was not. Prelims is very unpredictable. It requires a lot of practice. It requires practice more than knowledge. So the last 4 or 5 months, you should completely dedicate it to prelims, revise multiple times all the subjects, the current affairs, and practice a lot of tests. Do not take the marks you score in the test to your heart because it is just a practice. But do not get disheartened. Do not get disheartened and do not get overjoyed if you're scoring above like 100, 110 because it depends on how the paper is designed. None of those papers will be somewhere similar to the main UPSC paper because you do not know what kind of paper you'll get next year. But it will serve as a practice. So if you're scoring high, if you're scoring low, do not take it to heart. Learn from it, and do not just solve the paper, see the score, and leave it aside. Analyzing the paper is very important. Where you're losing marks, why? If your questions are wrong, then why was it wrong? Did you not read the question properly, or did you not interpret it properly? Have you bubbled the question incorrectly in the OMR sheet? All of these factors are important. And which subject are you losing marks in? Which is your strong area? So when you solve the prelims paper, you should discover your strong areas and your weak areas. And I had this trick that I did not always solve the paper sequentially, the full length test or the main prelims paper. I used to flip to question 25, 50, somewhere in the middle, the portion where I was comfortable with. Suppose you get your paper and your set has the beginning few 1 to 10 questions from ancient or medieval history. And that is a portion where most of the candidates are uncomfortable because those questions are asked from anywhere. We feel that questions are specifically asked from areas where we do not find a clue of them. So do not try to, just be fixated on those questions. Move to another question. In the initial few minutes of the examination, you should not let your confidence dip. If your polity is strong, find where polity questions are, go solve them. Then likewise, make an order for yourself. In what order you'll solve the paper. You'll solve polity first, then maybe environment, then geography, then economy, based on your strengths and weaknesses. And do the paper at least in 2 iterations. If 3 iterations are not possible, do it in 2 iterations. First, solve the questions about which you are completely confident, and then go for the elimination of other questions. The questions in which 2 or 1 option can be eliminated, choose those.
Ma'am, which test series you joined for prelims?
For prelims, in the previous attempt, I joined the Vision test series, but you do not need to join or enroll in a paid test series for prelims. You can just get the test papers from the market, download them, and solve them at your home and evaluate, because there's no role of an evaluator there. You get some bar or graph analysis, which is not of too much use. उतना दिमाग लगता भी नहीं उधर. Accuracy खुद solve करके आपको पता चल जाएगी. और 15,000 की test series, buy a test series only if you're confident that you will be able to keep up with the schedule. Schedule अगर बन जाता है तो that is good, because your revision will be completed on time. अगर वो नहीं हो पाता, then just get it printed or get it from the market and solve it. Analyze the paper, that is important. All the answers, explanations are given along with the answer sheet. So there's no role of an evaluator there. So you can just buy, and then for mains, mains में test series का important role होता है, because you need evaluation of your answers to understand where you're lacking and where you can, where there's scope for improvement. What extra information you can include, what other way you can write, and to compare. That peer evaluation, peer comparison is also important, that what other people are doing right and what you can learn from them, seeing other people's papers who are scoring very well. So for mains, I joined Forum IS test series, and I was satisfied that their evaluation was good. The questions.
Ma'am, when did you join test series?
For the mains, I joined the test series after clearing prelims.
Okay. So ma'am, how did you initially know that, okay, what the answers I'm writing, they are fine or not? That is in your first year when you were doing answer writing.
Answer writing, I was writing very long answers, because then I was only trying to generate content. Whether I was able to produce what I have in my mind or everything I'd studied, I wrote down all the points. I did not keep a time bar for myself, because I was only practicing to present my thoughts on paper. So I just wrote, and then after some time, I started using Insight's answer writing platform. They have a free answer writing initiative where they post 5 to 6 questions every day from all GS papers, and you can post your answers there and peer evaluate. You can also see the answers other people have posted and evaluate yourself, or the other people can evaluate for you and post comments. So that is a helpful exercise. You get to see how other people are writing, what other information they are writing which you do not have, or you can also get information which you did not know earlier. So that is a good unpaid initiative if you are a beginner in answer writing.
Okay. And then what was your strategy just 30 days before, 10 days before, and 1 day before prelims?
The strategy 10 days before should be to just revise. Do not study anything new. You feel that there's still a lot that you do not have. You haven't covered. You could have done this and that. Preparation is never 100% complete. So you need to have that confidence that you have studied a substantial portion of the syllabus, and you'll be able to solve the paper based on that knowledge. So revise the basic static sources, because you cannot ignore static ever. So your first focus should be on the static portion, and then one current affair compilation, like you get PT 365 for every subject before prelims. Sift through that. पहले से तो already पढ़ा हुआ होगा, कोई exam के कुछ नहीं पहले भी, just one source of current affairs. Go through that, and do not solve in the last few days. Do not solve tests. That is why you should give a substantial amount of time, 4 or 5 months for prelims, so that you can practice sufficient number of tests beforehand. So the last few days, do not go for tests, because it can ruin your confidence if you score low marks. And you should not be in quest to absorb more information at that point of time. Your focus should be on revision and consolidation of the information that you have studied. And one day before, do nothing. Just revise the factual information that you've collected somewhere. Like I used to have a diary to write down the purely factual information, like the books and authors, the newspapers and the editors, publishers, the extra information that you find in tests. So you write it down somewhere. So just those things, or the things that written and posted on the sticky notes that I constantly tend to keep forgetting. Just those things, and then just relax for the next day. Sleep on time, that is very important. I think I did not clear prelims in my first attempt because I could not sleep properly. I had made very stupid mistakes just because I was sleep deprived. So make sure to sleep properly the day before the examination. That is very important.
So, ma'am, as you said that you did not made any notes. It was only in books that you underlined, and you have revised them multiple times. So, when it was like 1 month before prelims or 10 days before prelims, so how did you manage to revise those books again? How many times you have revised them? That
notes. I think I made notes of some concepts. Which were required, but mostly I did not make notes. I had very few notes about optional or some concepts which are not given very comprehensively in books. So how did I revise those books before prelims? I just picked them up. I had read them so many times that I had them ingrained in me. So it was very easy to, reading 20 pages in 15 minutes, because I already know everything, where everything is written, where the information is. There's a kind of pictorial memory, photographic memory, when you are constantly revising one book, one thing, then that photographic memory gets ingrained in your mind, that I read this on page this. So it was easy for me.
So, ma'am, as you said that there were certain mistakes you made in your first attempt. So, I would like you to kindly tell the 5 most silly mistakes, or I should say that most huge mistakes we make, and which the other candidates should avoid to do in this examination.
First, I did not devote sufficient time before prelims for specifically preparing for prelims. Then properly, I'm anxious that I haven't slept properly and I won't be able to perform at my optimum level. Then you should not paper before sitting in the examination. Like there should not if you do not do 85 questions, you do prelims. And I had this notion in my mind that I need to do at least 80 to 80 questions, to clear the cutoff. But it does not work for everyone. You have to take in consideration your accuracy as well. The people that works for some people. In my first attempt, I bubbled 5 to 6 questions just for the sake of reading. Questions I did not know at all. And because I was panicking at the last moment, that I have not solved enough questions. So you should not do that either. Analyze and understand your paper solving manner, that whether you're scoring, whether you need to score more, attempt more than 95 questions to be able to be near the cutoff. And it also depends on the paper. So you need to analyze the paper in the examination hall. Should not have any preconceived notions about it. So in the second attempt, I solved the paper conservatively. I think I solved around 74 to 75 questions only. And I cleared it. But then again, it is different for different people. Some people would tell you that this 74, 75 attempts are very low, too low. You cannot clear the cutoff based on this. But then again, this is all based on a person's discretion, your personal accuracy, your style of solving the paper, which an individual herself needs to figure out. Then what else? Yeah, I made mistakes in questions of my own discipline, like microbiology, made mistakes in because I overanalyze them based on my specialized knowledge. Don't do that either. This is a general examination, so do not try to overanalyze the question. जैसे मृणाल सर बोलते हैं कि if you read a question, you need to look at the direct impacts associated with it in the options. बीरबल की खिचड़ी नहीं पकानी है कि इससे ये होगा तो फिर ये हो जाएगा तो ये भी हो सकता है तो ये भी ऑप्शन हो सकता है, तो वो भी नहीं करना होगा.
So I think that were the most 5 important things that we should remember, that we should not do these things, these mistakes in our examination.
The circadian rhythm before the examination is important. Many people are used to studying at night, night owls, but before the exam, at least 2 weeks or 10 days earlier, try to change your schedule somehow. And if still you're not able to sleep, then somehow make sure that you sleep on that day. I'm not going to say anything explicitly because I had also changed my schedule, but it was a psychology that I'd never slept the night before the examination. And this is not a semester examination where you study the entire night and just go and present it all on the paper. In this examination, you need your brain to be very actively working because you need to make connections, interpret a lot of things, recall a lot of things. So it was just a psychology because I'd never slept before an exam in my life and it had not been a problem before. So that came as a shocker, and the second time I rectified it through whatever I could.
Mains is the most important part of this examination. So what was your strategy for mains examination?
For mains examination, so mains के लिए standard sources, mains point of view, because you do not need to know very much factual information like all the names in which year a particular event happened, apart from the most crucial events. And apart from that, for the smaller topics like disaster management, social issues, those booklets that I advised, and for current affairs, the mains 365 compilation. That was enough. And optional preparation will vary from optional to optional. I'll be able to help in geography optional. All the other optionals are, I would not have any idea about.
So ma'am, of mains 365, did you make any additions in your notes? How did you rate mains 365?
Mains 365, it is designed in a manner that they are notes. They are short notes in the form of monthly compilation, which are compiled from all the monthly magazines, which present only the material which you require for mains. So you do not need to make notes out of them because they are notes in itself. So, and they are segregated, like for quality, for environment, for science and tech, they are segregated themselves. So I just read them, highlighted them, read them, revised them 2 times, and that was enough. And there's enough data and all the value addition that you would require for the mains paper. In polity, there are all the court cases mentioned, all the articles, important articles, and likewise for environment, all the government schemes and all the data is given in the appendix at the back of the mains 365 after all the subject is over. So that was a very comprehensive source for current affairs mains.
Ma'am, what timetable did you follow? Because discipline is the most important thing in this exam. So how did you manage your time in this exam?
I did not have any strict hourly timetable for myself because I like to keep it flexible. I wanted to enjoy the preparation, not make it feel that it was constraining me or limiting me in any manner. But yeah, some people function better with a timetable. I had targets, monthly, weekly, daily targets. I tried to finish those targets. I made some micro and macro plans, which I executed. So I did not have that 10 to 11 polity, iske baad lunch, वैसा वाला timetable. But yeah, 8 to 10 hours on a minimum should be devoted to the preparation because Anything less than that is not sufficient for the examination, given the scale and the diversity and the enormity of the syllabus.
Ma'am, how to set targets? How to
Yes,
set targets, ma'am?
setting targets. So, like you choose any subject to study. For me personally, I used to study 2 subjects at a time along with current affairs and maybe optional at some point if I was doing optional as well. So 2 subjects and current affairs on a daily basis because I used to get bored with monotony. I could not read just one subject for 5 continuous days. So suppose I'm doing polity and environment. So in the first hour, I will, in the morning, I will read the newspaper. In the evening, I'll watch its analysis. And in the morning, I will pick one subject which I'm doing. If it's polity, I will spend the first half in polity. And after lunch, the second half, I will give it to the other subject I'm doing, environment. And I will set targets that I will complete, see the number of pages, the complexity of the syllabus, and roughly set a date that I will complete polity in, suppose, 20-25 days. Within 20 to 25 days, you should not set very rigid targets, I think, because not every topic will take similar amount of time. There are some topics which are very huge or difficult to understand. So flexible and feasible targets. So if I've decided that in this month of November, suppose, I will complete polity in 25 days, so I'll try to do that.
Okay.
And for micro plans, suppose in a day, I think that these are the 2 chapters that I should revise today. So I'll take care that I complete that.
That is, ma'am, setting targets and then following them is important. And if we could not follow, then we should not stress it out, right?
Yeah, you should have a calendar, mark the calendars. I had a habit of marking the productive days. I did not cross out any day because it felt like a negative thing, but I just tracked them off the days which I was very satisfied with. I put a tick mark on them.
And these are the micro things only which makes anyone topper, that you are telling us right now. And I am asking such detailed questions. The reason is this only because we tend to miss out these things. Whenever we talk to a topper, all the questions are based on micro analysis only. These are the micro things which you told us today, that I was using a calendar and I was marking it with. So yes, it gives a personal satisfaction. Okay, this day was good and this day was not good. So these are the things that you are telling us, ma'am. These will be definitely a big help to all the candidates. So ma'am, the next question is that interview stage, as we all know, is the one of the most important and the last stage which ultimately leads us to this selection. So what was your strategy regarding interview? And as being a veterinary graduate, you have to give more focus upon it. So how did you manage to do that also?
In the interview stage, I did have to study veterinary because it was my background, and I was working as a veterinary officer also. So I was expecting questions from that field. So till mains, I did not study anything from veterinary, but I had to pick it up again. At least the basic concepts I needed to be aware of to be prepared for the interview. And the interview stage is such that it does not judge you on the basis of your knowledge, because it is a personality test. So your confidence, your articulation, the way you present your opinions, that is what matters. You can skip a factual question which you do not know. It won't have a negative impression. But opinion-based questions, they are a must to answer. And you should have a very balanced opinion about every discipline. So this is where the role of mocks come into play. The mocks are not entirely similar to the UPSC interview, but they give you a lot of practice, confidence to face the panel.
Okay. So ma'am, what kind of questions were asked to you in regarding veterinary in your interview?
there were three questions from veterinary. One of the members asked a technical question regarding surgery, and that whether we have any substitute for ovarian hysterectomy in female dogs, and then about the importance of indigenous breeds, and my opinion on culling. These are the questions.
Okay. So you were asked 3 questions on veterinary.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a unique field, so I was expecting questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they got only 2 veterinarians in the mains list also, and both of us thankfully qualified. So that is why I was preparing veterinary
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
interview.
I recently talked to Habib sir, and he was like, most of his part was from veterinary only. So that's why I asked you this question also. And
We both got different boards, but yeah, veterinary was the highlight of both of our interviews.
okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, the next question is that this is a long preparation, so everyone faces anxiety and what will happen if I'll not qualify, and fear continuously. So, how did you manage it?
See, UPSC is indeed a very tough journey. A lot of sacrifice and compromise is involved. And because of the little element of luck involved with it, it becomes very uncertain. So success, this could be a very long process for an individual. If you are lucky enough, you can clear in the first attempt, but for people, it has taken 6 attempts as well, and they have gotten ranks in top 50s. So to sustain this preparation, when you start this, you need to know that this is going to be a journey, and a difficult one at that. And you need to find your reasons as to why you want to pursue this examination, why you want to be a civil servant. That force will keep you motivated, because external things like power, prestige, fame, these are not going to sustain your preparations. There are a lot of other venues from which you can find those, and money is certainly not one of them. So you need to have that feeling of serving the larger section. If you're connected to the grassroots, you are empathetic towards them, you will be able to sustain the journey. And whenever you feel anxious, you know that there are people who are in worse position than you. And watching proper talks, some motivational videos, that is a very short-lived motivation. Your motivation needs to come from within. And to deal with anxiety and depression, it is a very common, I think anxiety is a daily phenomenon when you're preparing for this exam, because you never know what is going to happen, even in the interview stage. So faith in yourself, faith in that one supreme being, that whatever is happening will turn out for the best of you and for everyone else. And some few good people around us, parents, friends, few good relatives, who make you reinforce faith in yourself. That is important. And a person should take short breaks. Regular break ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि हर weekend party करनी है, वैसा वाला break, because that is going to distract you. But short breaks. If you have a hobby and you can find time amidst the preparation to pursue that hobby, and it makes you feel good, do that. But yes, an aspirant needs to take care of themselves as well, because the world does not understand that until a person is an aspirant. It is on the day that you clear that everybody recognizes your hard work. But before that, it is a very difficult journey.
Rightly said, ma'am. So, ma'am, how are you feeling at present? What were your feelings when the day result came and you cleared this exam? How has the life changed since then?
It's a completely 360-degree turn. So, very overwhelmed, very overjoyed, relieved that the preparation phase is finally over, and very grateful, very, very grateful. Did not realize would be this busy after clearing the examination, meeting people, talking to people from all over. I do not even remember how many people called me, who all I talked to, but I'm very thankful for all the wishes and all the blessings.
So at the end, ma'am, the last question is that what are the five most important things which an aspirant should follow in this preparation?
An aspirant should be disciplined. This preparation is not like any other examination, be it NEET, JEE, CAT, NET, any other examination. Nothing else can compare. So you have to be very serious about this. If you have thought about starting preparation, you need to be honest with yourself. Then do not ignore the importance of previous year questions and the syllabus. You should always have a booklet of previous year questions and the syllabus with yourself on your study table. Then tests and mock tests, interview or mains mock test. It is very important to analyze yourself. There are people who go to the examination and write their first test and clear it, but that's an anomaly. One cannot advise students to just write their first test in the examination hall. That is a gamble. So do not fall for those techniques. Be prepared for come. Then do not compare your life's trajectory with anyone else. Because when you're appearing for 3-4 attempts continuously, facing failure, then people around you will try to discourage you that you have chosen maybe the wrong field for yourself. One should have a plan B, but do not be around people who discourage you, and do not compare yourself with other people's life and their success. Because once you get your name in the list, you do not even know how your life is going to change, and those same people are going to come to you and congratulate you and acknowledge your labor. So do not while in the preparation phase, do not compare, because that tends to set in. Even I had that feeling at one point of time. And then do not try to romanticize this preparation and this journey of anxiety and depression. Treat it like an examination. You do not need to do PhD in all the subjects. Study only what is relevant for the examination and focus on clearing the examination. Do not indulge in debates with people in ORN or online commenting. That is not going to help. Being a civil servant, you need to cultivate the personality of a civil servant during preparation. So have a very balanced opinion about things and be very honest with your preparation.
Ma'am, any special message for the veterinary students?
The veterinarians who want to venture into the civil services, everyone is welcome. Anyone from any field can clear this examination. So if you really want to do civil services, you do not need to emulate my strategy completely. Whatever I did was my personal decision. If you want to get a post-graduation for your future prospects, go ahead and do so. Do that according to your timeline. If you think you can manage post-graduation and preparation alongside, do that. If you feel that you want to get a post-grad degree and then go for preparation and you have time according to age limit, do that. That's your personal call. But even though there are very few people clearing from veterinary, because the representation is low compared to engineering or any other background, that is why there are very few people. Otherwise, anyone is capable of clearing this examination with a strategic preparation and dedication. So if you want guidance, if you want to choose veterinary as an optional, you can do that as well. And won't ever discourage you from taking veterinary as an optional, but you'll have to do the hard work involved with it. You can consult our seniors who have taken veterinary science, get guidance from them. because I have not taken veterinary science, so I won't be able to help you there. But I won't even discourage you from choosing that as an optional. I don't know how it is scoring in the recent years, but take your decision wisely, like I said. And Anthro is also a very good subject if you want to prepare with it.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, they have been trying to connect and ask their doubts, a lot of veterinarians actually. So you can follow me on my public Instagram account. Please do not send requests on the public account. I won't be accepting those. I please refer to this video for whatever strategy and whatever questions you want to ask, because it is not feasible for us to answer everybody's doubts individually. There really is paucity of time. ऐसा नहीं है that we have become arrogant or do not want to talk to people, but it is not practically possible to.
So I'll link Dr. Saab's Instagram ID. Reach her via that ID.
Okay. So this has been a great interview. Prashansha had contacted me after the results, and I was able to give her this lot after a long time, and she has been patient through it. And she is doing a great work interviewing people from all the fields, helping veterinarians. And this one was specifically for the veterinary community. I wanted to do this for a long time. So please like, share, and subscribe her channel. And I wish all the veterinarians all the best for all their future endeavors. Thank you.
So thank you so much, ma'am. And I'm very grateful to ma'am that she agreed to do this interview us. And ma'am has been a great help throughout this interview, and through this video also you can see that how calmly and composedly she had answered all my questions, and I'm highly thankful to you, ma'am, for that. So thank you so much for being part of the vetsdiary family, and thank you so much for giving your precious time, ma'am. And this was a great time, and I wish you all the best for the new journey at Labasna, the Dream Institute for Civil Services. And thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us.
Thank you so much.